Good evening, everyone, and welcome to 20 Sides to Every Story. We are a RPG community, a TTRPG community mostly, but we sort of dabble in lots of things from video games to drawing to, I don't know, all sorts of weird things, watching wrestling. So we are playing through Dragonlance, Shadow of the Dragon Queen. This is our second session, and I now see the strange green box on my screen, which my colleagues were describing earlier, and I didn't see until now that I'm looking at the Twitch screen. So I apologize that I'm a bit currenty tonight, but I will figure that out. Hey, thanks for the new subscription, Rip. Appreciate that. So I apologize if you ordered your green filters from Alex earlier this year, then you can use those to get the secret code word by holding it up to my face. I have it tattooed there. First person to put it in the chat wins. All right, so we are in session 2 of the Shadow of the Dragon Queen. Our party's not quite together yet, and so that will be remedied shortly this evening. But they were all en route to a small town called Vogler, and they were there specifically because of they had all been invited to the funeral of a dear friend of theirs, Ispen Greenshield. And so I'm going to have the characters introduce themselves, and also part of the module itself is a little bit important is how they might know Ispen. And so I'm gonna ask them to also describe that real quick. I'm going to start in our bottom right corner with Cass. If you don't mind going first for us.
Sure. I'm David. I play Cass, who is a human rogue, non-binary. They are a rogue, but as far as people can tell at a glance, almost look more like a monk. I have a kind of a brown long robe, and I tell people that I am a scholar, a field scholar from the Great Library of Palanthas. And as I'm, meeting people at the funeral, I'll tell people that I'm conveying the condolences of my father's house, a minor Salamnian house. But I'm also representing the Great Library of Palanthas, who occasionally hired Greenshield and his friends to seek out lost knowledge and historical relics. So that's kind of what I tell people. The truth is likely a bit more sketchy.
Thank you very much. I'm going to move over to Miranda.
All right. Hi, I'm Lauren, and I am playing Miranda. She is a human sorcerer, and she knew Ispen because he would come through town sometimes on various adventures, and once required her assistance in dealing with something. And yeah, they got close given their little adventure there. And so then, ever since, anytime he would come down, he would come see her for a little bit, and she's feeling quite sad to lose the companion.
We will now, thank you. Now move up to Brallin.
Brallin is that's no biggie. He's not offended, don't worry. He is a I guess level 2 ranger now. Big wide smile, missing 2 front teeth, and what people have heard from him is that he was told by his mother that his father, that he had never met, died. Just happened that his father was this Ispen Greenshield, So he wanted to see if there was any other family members from his father's side that he had never met. Now, is that true or not? He's unsure, but his mom swears that this is his dad. So he's come to try to figure that out.
Okay. And last but certainly not least, Kato.
Hi, I'm Daw. I'm playing Kato. He is a level 2 paladin. As for how he has met Ispen, he has not. If he were to meet him, it would have been when he was much younger. He has never really come into contact with him. However, his parents have, them being formerly adventuring types, have come across him, and due to their more older age, are really unable to travel as much or as safely as they used to. So I'm more or less sent in their stead as a way of showing we still care, but unfortunately we can't make it ourselves.
Sure. Whether or not our characters have met Ispen, they certainly have heard stories through the grapevines of him and his heroic actions. He was a grand adventurer. He took the last name Greenshield because he was famous for a green shield that he carried around, which he claimed was magical. He eventually retired in the town of Vogler, and upon his death, friends sought out our characters in order to invite them to the funeral as a celebration. Along the way, the party was split into 3 groups, and I should point out that there was a 6th member of the party, a Kender, who was a little too bold and picked the wrong traveling companions, who immediately moved away from the danger, while the poor little Kenders and the player playing the Kender suffered greatly, both mentally and physically. And so I don't know how that player is going to come back, but I'm sure that player is probably going to be pretty pissed, at least at those 2 players who left his poor character to die and headless in the middle of the road. But that's for a later time. However, the 2 characters who I'm referring to are Brallin and Cass. And Brallin and Cass actually encountered, for their first encounter, these strange, mysterious lizard-like creatures, which are well known in the Dragonlance lore, but are not known to the area that where our adventure takes place. So this was quite a new experience. One of them, upon death, petrified things around it, including the weapons inside the creature, while the other sort of burst into a puddle of acid. Rather unusual aspect of these creatures. They were able to save themselves, though, and save a young man who was in danger, although they found out that there were some Knights of Solemnia who were investigating the fact that these weird creatures were even in the area, who unfortunately also did not survive. So that was one group, the 3 of them, the Kender and Brallin and please leave an F in the chat to show your respect for poor Brallin. On the other hand, for those of you who are familiar with Dragonlance lore, the gods really have not yet, we're at a time where the gods have not yet returned to the continent. However, it seems like another one of our characters, Kato, did have an interaction with a god and was given a holy symbol. It's a little confusing which god necessarily he was talking to. There might have been some clues and there might have been some red herrings along the way. But Kato now possesses divine magic, which is very new and unique to the continent, more or less. Lastly, Quinton and Miranda on their way to Vogler had been invited to something else, and that was specifically a test of the Towers of High Sorcery. Not the trials, not the main test, but something that would help. They were told would help prepare them for the trials. They did a great job. They passed very quickly, got through the successfully, and they were given two things as a reward. One was a quite elaborate and beautiful spell book that they can either use for spells or, if they so choose, for whatever they like. The other was a scroll that they were instructed should be delivered to, I don't remember her name right off the top of my head, to someone in Kalaman. And so that will come up a little bit later. But for now, the individuals who were, and I'll read out loud real quick, now, if I can find it. I'm not seeing it right off the bat. So, sorry, just getting used to the Roll20, how they do stuff down here. So the letter all of them had received said was from a Becklin Uth Vihal. And she was also a friend of Ispen Greenshield. She shared the news that he had passed away. And she wanted the characters to know that they're holding a memorial for him. And it will be on the eve of something called the Kingfisher Festival. And so she entreated the characters to come to Vogler and to that she has prepared accommodations for them at a place called the Brass Crab. I have put up for the characters a quick map of the area of Vogler and Kalaman. Give them a general sense. Vogler, both Vogler and Kalaman are on the water. So it's entirely possible some of you may arrive by boat. But we're going to say, for story purposes, that all of you arrive roughly within the same 2 days. And so what I will have is I'll have Brallin and Cass. The two of you, and I'm going to shift now that the geography of just where this is not super important, as much as this next map is, which is the map of Vogler itself. Pretty small place. He highlight some areas for you, which at the moment you might not know exactly where it is, but you will shortly. The Brass Crab is right on the water. The Brass Crab, as you come in through the river gate, which is sort of the entrance by land. The first thing you're struck by is that preparations are definitely underway for this thing called the Kingfisher Festival. And I think at least one of you is aware that the Kingfisher is a symbol associated often with the Knights of Solemnia. And so you, as you walk through, you quickly notice that the gate you walk through it's unguarded. The gate has basically been maybe not rusted open, but it hasn't been closed in a very long time. and with its position towards the plains of Solemnia, and enjoys a little bit of a great position. And so the river gate is up here. You pass under an old keep called Thornwall Keep as you walk in. And it doesn't look like it's particularly busy up there. It does look like there is some repair work that has tried to restore some of the keep, but more or less it's still pretty bad. What was the last thing I wanted to tell you? So the fishing village of Vogler, it really does cling to sort of a spit of land that reaches into the Vingard River. The cliffs above it are wooded, and the only path is the path that the walking path that is this one from the north that you guys came through. Most of the buildings are wooden, and they sort of cluster around a central circle and then along the riverbank. In this river, and I would guess that some of you, probably most likely Miranda and Quinton, actually arrived by boat. And this is sort of where you come in. Judging into the river and out of place, and it's just very strange construction. There's an incomplete stone bridge. And while the bridge itself is incomplete, the part that is complete is amazing. It is masterful artisanship, the likes of which you have never seen before. And it definitely immediately you know that this thing is ancient, incredibly ancient. And it's probably the likes of which can't be produced in the current age. And so it most likely absolutely is from before the cataclysm. The bridge crosses less than half the river's width. And so now it's used more as a makeshift pier than it is a bridge because it doesn't really go anywhere. But you do see occasional people fishing off of the end of it too. On the river itself, about a dozen boats sort of drift, some fishing, some moving up and down the river. But it's busy for the size of this river, but it doesn't. I make sure I have these things highlighted for you. The wharf, village circle I sort of described. Yeah, so I would say that probably the last person to arrive in town would be Kato. And so Kato, as you approach the town, and you also come from the north, from the road, you think you probably have a little bit of an eye for sort of how the defenses of this place, this village, are laid out. And in particular, not only is the keep sort of the bastion that sort of stood over this town at one point, and it seems to also maybe have heralded from before the cataclysm. In the middle, as you go through wander through the city streets, the village circle itself in the middle is basically a grassy patch, very old tree coming out of ancient tree coming out of the grassy path. Um, um, next to it is clearly sort of the official functionary building, the mayor's house. Highlight that real quick for you. It's there. Not only is the mayor's home there, also the major tavern in the city, the Fishbowl, is off of the village circle. You in front of the mayor's home, you see what amounts to the major defense of the city, quite honestly. It is a very large bell. And you get the feeling that in times of need, that bell would ring. As you all get into the Brass Crab, it's a single story, very modest inn. And its exterior kind of looks like a brass crab, you'd say. You are all warmly greeted by the proprietor. She's human commoner. Sorry, just human. Sorry, commoner. Stat block human. Her name is Yalme. Yalme. Inside the inn itself, there's a faded mural of two crabs fighting, and the sort of the detail is inlaid with brass itself. Yalme, as one of you, whoever stares at the mural long enough, Yalme will point out that the one on the left is called Famous George, and the one on the right is called Gorgeous George, or at least that's what she likes. And so as it's the day before the Kingfisher Festival, so it's the eve, or sorry, it's the day before. And so as you all come in and get settled, the rooms are free. I'm going to ask. Let's see. I will pick on Brallin. Brallin, what is it about Miranda that catches your eye, that causes you to strike up conversation with someone you've never met before?
I would say, I'm assuming that the picture that we have is maybe accurate to what she's wearing at this time, as far as that colorful pattern.
Yeah.
So he would just, I have got to say, that is such a beautiful pattern you got on your shirt.
Oh, yeah, thank you very much. Very kind of you.
Where did you would you come? I've never seen something that beautiful before. My mom, she might like something like that. It's real nice. Where happens you come across something like that?
Oh, well, I did a lot of the embroidery myself, but, it's not too uncommon of a pattern up from where I'm from. A lot of times find them in little shops and that kind of thing. Where are you from, though? I might be quite far from you.
Well, to be honest, I don't know if you could tell, but I am a bit anxious, even being in a town this size. I'm a bit a ways off. I don't know if you've heard of the town. It's a city further south. It starts with a K.
Calamon?
Very
Oh,
thank you.
yeah, that place. See, I don't go much.
Yes.
Mom and I, we stay outside of town. We're more into the wilderness. I don't know. She said that if you see a kind face, don't be afraid to talk with her. And that's what I'm doing. Is that okay?
course. Did your mother know Ispen as well, or?
Oh, do you know Ispen then? Yes. Well,
I figured this is
uh,
why you're here.
yeah, apparently, yes. Was it, well, have you met Ispen before?
Oh, yes. No, we were very close.
Oh, well, that's good. It's good that he had many friends. Um, what do you think? Why do you think I'm here? And he's going to pose and kind of just look off a bit so that you can kind of see he's waiting
I
for
can
you
see his
to see if there's why do you think I'm here?
This
Oh well.
Miranda, is this
Yes.
this doesn't seem exactly the right time to be playing games. A man is dead. We're here for his funeral.
We are. We're
I'm
just having a
sorry.
nice chat.
Who is this man? What is your
Oh,
name?
well, he.
Me?
Yes.
Brallin. Brallin Farm. We're not playing a game. I was just asking this wonderful lady a simple question. I was just asking if she might be able to guess why I'm here. See, I've never met this Ispen, but I'm told I have his eyes and his smile, and he gives a little bit of a smile missing two of his front teeth.
Teeth. Oh well, yes, the resemblance is uncanny now.
So you're a
Oh.
relative of some kind.
Well, apparently I'm his son.
With that, Miranda will look at you and say, "Oh, I do see a resemblance. Yes, I
You do?
can definitely see. Oh, yes, I
Oh,
do."
that is great to hear.
As you guys are having this conversation, the Yalme sees you all talking and sort of thrusts flagons of ale into your hands. You're like, "I'll make yourself at home, please." It's always nice to have friends of Ispen in the house.
Oh, thank you.
Wanders back behind the bar.
You know, how is and he'll be looking for kind of Cass around to see maybe if he might see them around.
Where would Cass be? Out and about, or?
Yeah, I think probably Cass would have explored, kind of done some wandering, but
Mhm.
eventually would have found their way back to the Brass Crab, and seeing Brallin in the common room, probably would have taken a seat near him, maybe just kind of gave a silent nod, but probably appears to be studying the mural much more in depth, but really is trying to see and listen to the conversations as much as possible.
I think just to give a little bit more context to while you're wandering around, you do learn about probably the fanciest house in town. Your eye might have caught that for various reasons, and it's this West Tide house. It is it's it it in listening to the townsfolk, it seems like it's important as a house, but it also seems like maybe most of the townsfolk aren't particularly fond of the people who happen to live there, though you don't catch their names. Yeah. And so after some point, you get back to the Brass Crab. Please.
Tell me, how was your journey here? He's like halfway through his first beer, and he's gonna glance over, seeing that Cask is there, He's gonna glance over at them, and then just look. You look. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name there, fella. And he's gonna be looking at your character, Alex.
My name is Quinton.
Quinton.
Miranda and I have been travel companions these last few nights from where we hail from. You've traveled a long way for this father you've never met.
Yeah. Yeah, sure have. It's he's gonna. You didn't come across any creatures out there on your travels, did you?
Gonna have to be more specific. We've been out in the wilderness. I'm gathering from your intonation you're not speaking of just little birds fluttering in the wind.
No. The birds are beautiful, peaceful, and kind. These creatures are something else. They scales for faces. Exploded.
Loaded.
Yes, and he's gonna kind of lean in and go, they killed a companion of ours on the way over.
I'm
Sorry
so
to hear that.
sorry. Oh, that's just awful.
Didn't know him well, but I could tell he didn't talk much, but I could tell he was a good fella.
Would Cass be able to tell that Miranda and or Quinton are mages? Are they decked out, carrying staffs, pouches with spell components, robes, any of that stuff? Or
I have a pouch and, just kind of my get up. You might probably think I could be some sort of magic caster, but not like extremely over.
sure.
I think, Quinton. I think he's probably even got the spell book out. Like he's just enamored with the fact that he got this thing, and he's sort of having this conversation now. But as soon as this conversation ends, his head's going to be back in the book. So I think he's got that out.
Kind of just like looking, nodding, but not like just really wanting.
Yeah.
Wanting this conversation to be over, he butted into. He's now regretting it.
Around this time, I'm going to say that Kato walks in. Kato, how has your since your encounter has your how you dress, anything about you particularly changed? What would the rest of them notice when you walk in that would catch their eye?
Well, the first thing would probably be hearing a thunk on the front door as his polearm actually smacks the top of the door frame, because he's a little distracted by looking at something in his hand. There's a taller human, long black hair, just like he looks like he's completely distracted at the moment. He has the regalia of the Knights of Solemnia worn about him, and if he wanted to change clothes, I mean, he probably would, but he's been traveling for a number of days, hasn't really had a chance to go through, and he's kind of like, and like has to lower the pole arms, like, sorry, my bad, and like walks in and then realizes he's now carrying a 10-foot tall pole arm in a building full of people, and just kind of putting himself against the wall, just shuffle.
Okay.
I think when that happens, he would look. You suppose I don't know maybe who to talk about this. Suppose maybe he's gonna kind of nod over to the town guard. He assumes is walking in the bar.
I don't know that he's. Seems like he might be a bit new at his job, though.
Well, you should file a report and go through the proper channels. And it seems like that bloke, he might be off the clock, stumbling about and fumbling with his weapon.
He probably
He's gonna look at Miranda to like almost a nod of approval of what from what Quinton just said. If he should really like go through the proper channels or not.
I mean, I think that it wouldn't hurt to tell him. He's clearly, of some official capacity. I think we should, if there's some horrible exploding creature out there, he should know about it.
As you are saying exploding creature, as if on cue, you hear coming from somewhere out of sight, but inside the building, just a loud explosion followed by like what sounds like more pots and pans than this place should have falling to the ground. And you see a gnome sort of covered in soot black, sort of from head to toe, walk up to the innkeeper and say, well, then it's all fixed. I just fixed it. I will be going now. And you see the Yalme, the innkeeper, sort of tried to stop him and be like, "Oh, well, let me just look." He's like, "No, I just need a little sweeping." And he's talking at such a rapid pace as he walks out the door, sort of not letting her stop him. And Yalme sort of runs back into the back rooms from where the explosion came, and you see some sounds of consternation coming from there, but it gives way to the sound of sweeping.
Cass will stand up and walk across the room. Is anything visible from the bar, like as they pass, like a strong box or anything that would indicate valuables?
There's probably not. The one thing you notice is that there is a box. It is wide open though, and it does not seem that. I mean, based on your experience, you haven't seen her actually charging anyone for any of the drinks right now. But there is a box. Like there is a place that money would be put.
Okay. Cass kind of makes a note of that, and then approaches the kitchen door just to see if they can hear anything or if it's open at all to see what the commotion is about.
Totally open. And in it you see Yalme sweeping, and it, like the gnome, covered top to bottom in soot. In the middle is a stove, and what looked like at some point a very normal stove has been sort of overtaken by the stove now has at least 4 exhaust pipes that crisscross each other, and there's one of there's a bucket of water that seems to be the mechanism by which you put out the stove now. It's quite elaborate, perhaps functional. Yalme doesn't seem to be terribly concerned with the stove as much as she's concerned with just the soot that has overtaken the kitchen.
Kato will walk over to where all that racket's going on, and he'll knock at the door.
Okay.
Everything all right?
And Yalme looks up, surprised. She had not seen you come in or not been paying attention when you came in. She's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And she puts down the broom real quick, and she runs over and starts filling up ale for you, which she passes over quickly. And she's like, "Are you here for the funeral?"
I am actually. I saw you were in a bit of a racket back there. Do you need some help?
No. Karen is pretty good at fixing things in quite unusual ways. So I'm going to. Sorry, I said Karen. Thon is his name. Thon. And Thon, I suppose it's fixed. Like, I have no doubt it does what it's supposed to now. Perhaps the how is the question, but it's no. It probably works. It just it seems he. I don't like a dirty kitchen. I appreciate it, but please, you're here for the funeral. So if you make yourself at home, Ispen wanted all who come to celebrate his life and not to commiserate.
Well, if you'd like, I can. If you want to attend your patrons, I can sweep up on the back if you'd like.
Oh, I'll
Keep
be
the-
fine. I'll be fine,
I-
dearie. Thank you very much.
Trust me, I insist that it's kind of the thing I do.
I,
Back home, at least.
I very much appreciate it, but it's it's my kitchen. I can take care of it. Please relax. Sit down. It looks like you've traveled quite a distance.
Yeah, traveling the plains is never, well, not entertaining to say the least, but is long.
Well, as your rooms should be ready. I'll check on them shortly, and yeah, please make yourself at home. There's some others over there who are also here for the funeral, I believe. And she gestures over to the bigger group.
Oh, thank you for your patronage.
Oh, thank you for coming.
Dodd, does Kato have any insignias or anything that would indicate an affiliation with the Knights that would be easily seen?
If only I knew much more about the knights than I actually know. I assume they wear some sort of probably fancier cloak with the royal insignia of the empire, maybe a brooch as well. That would probably catch your eye if you've seen it once or twice. After that, he would probably grab his drink and start heading towards what I think looks like a little outdoor pier area. And he'll probably, as he's passing you, just give a slight wave and then head outside.
Okay.
Cass will kind of slink up to Brallin and say, I think perhaps your instincts were correct about that one. He seems to perhaps have a connection with the Knights of Solamnia. It might be worth our time to share what we've learned. And then Cass holds out the notes and the personal effects of the knights that were fallen that they had happened upon, and sort of divests themselves of these things, to hands them out to Brallin, encouraging him to take them, and maybe they can go talk to Kato.
You sure you want me to talk to him?
I will accompany you.
All right.
We can share what we've learned together.
Oh, okay. He's gonna look at Miranda and Quinton and say, "Well, I guess excuse us for a moment. It was nice to meet you."
To meet you too, dear.
Pleasure.
Yeah. And then and then he'll step up and walk away with the things.
Cass follows.
You'll hear like a voice kind of coming up behind you, Kato. Excuse me,
Yes.
guard or something?
Am I a guard?
Yes, a knight.
A knight, yes. A guard, no. I think you'd have to probably be from the place you're at to be a guard.
Yeah, okay. Either way, we wanted to let you know, came across some of your buddies. Sorry. And
Sorry for what?
he was just gonna drop, like, he's gonna just show the stuff and put it, like, wherever that, on the ground somewhere. Well,
He's gonna put his drink to the side, pull his pole arm against the wall, pick up the stuff you're handing him, which are probably the equivalent of name tags, cloaks. What's
like,
this supposed to
probably
mean?
like signet rings, I'm guessing. Things that, identify who they were.
maybe you should have these.
To provide a little more explanation, we came across a patrol of knights that were wiped out, slain by the very creatures they were sent to investigate. And I'm sorry to say none survived. We were hoping that, if not you might know someone here in Vogler that would be the right person to deliver these to explain that while on their mission investigating some strange creatures, well, they unfortunately did not succeed, and we too barely escaped with our lives, and we lost a traveling companion as well.
Well, that's creatures? What do you mean?
Scaly creatures, they had scales on their faces. One exploded with acid and such, and one was turning our friend to stone here, and they had, I don't know, with the teeth, like a snake of some kind, or maybe like a lizard or something that sort. Human size though. Just evil. Just wanted to destroy oh.
Given the rumors, they do seem to have dragon-like features, and it seems the knights were aware of them. We are just humble travelers ourselves. We know very little of these new dangers of this war that one hears talk of, but we thought we should at least pass along these effects to someone from the knighthood. So if you would accept these, and perhaps a warning about these dragon, lizard, reptile creatures, and certainly if one of you or one of your comrades in arms slays them, be warned, they exact a price even in their own death.
Wow, that is. Sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
He's just gonna say, "Wow, this is a lot you've given me." Well, for starters,
Welcome.
I am Kato. I am. How do I put this? As I've said before, I am not from here. My post is a little ways away from the city. I personally do not know these men, and I'm also new to town myself. I'm here on behalf of my family for the funeral, but this is, if what you're saying is true, is quite more worrisome. I can see what I can do. I'll see if I could find something here, but I haven't really seen any presence of my people within confines of the city. I can have a look, but I don't know what more you can ask of me?
Well, I seem to recall that the late Ispen Greenshield often found himself in the company of a knight. Perhaps he'll be out and about during the funeral and the following festival that you might have cause to pass those along to him.
I'll see what I can do. Like, you see, like, if a bead of sweat is going on his head, it's like, oh, it's like, I was expecting to be on leave. This is not what I was expecting for, like, my first assignment.
At the table with Miranda, Quinton is stopped reading the book, and he's just like, he keeps watching whatever's going on outside this meeting that they're reporting, and he's tapping his foot like anxiously. He's just waiting. He's waiting for them to like stop talking to the knight so that he can go out there. He's sort of fanboying a little bit because he thought he was just a guard, but then when they made mention that he's a knight, like he's eager to like go and introduce himself. But he doesn't want to appear too eager in front of the guy. He wants to play it cool.
Right. So as you're sort of waiting for the conversation to end, two individuals, man and a woman, walk in, and they are dressed in fairly sort of adventurers, like sort of militant garb, let's say, chainmail, multiple weapons on their belts. And they walk in, and you can tell the innkeeper has definitely seen them before, sort of welcomes them back. They sit at a table in the corner, and you hear them talking about the Battle of High Hill. And it seems to be something they are going to participate in. And you hear they're basically making plans for whatever this is. The innkeeper comes over. She brings some order or something. It's clear they're off for the moment, but they are just relaxing, but still sort of talking shop.
Yaelin.
Sorry?
I'm sorry. What was the proprietor's name?
Hold on. For some reason, this one is not.
Yalme.
Yelme.
Oh,
Yalme.
Yalme. We heard them over there. They're talking about some sort of battle. Have you?
Oh yes. Do you not know?
No.
And her mood is like not somber. It's quite positive.
Don't seem concerned.
Oh no. Don't worry. So the Kingfisher Festival, it starts tomorrow, and there's activities all throughout the day. And please, you should go out and about in town and explore. All the things, there's so much to do. But in the evening, the Kingfisher Festival, it culminates in the annual reenactment of the Battle of High Hill. And so normally, are you familiar with the Battle of High Hill?
No. Miranda, how you've been around a lot longer than I. You may have heard something of this.
Well,
It's
dear child.
I would say that probably in the group, Kato probably at least has heard it mentioned, maybe not knows the details. And Brallin, from being around in the area, probably also sort of is aware that this is an annual thing, a reenactment of sorts of a previous battle. But she goes on to explain, she was like, oh, well, before the cataclysm, this town was the site of a major battle between the Knights of Slumnia and the nation of Istar. Lord Vogler led the knights here. So normally, what happens every year, we go to the village square and everyone picks a side, and then we reenact the battle. But this year, Mayor Raven, she arranged for our good friend of the town, Cudgel Ironsmile, to participate. And so Cudgel leads these guys, and she points over to the two individuals. They're part of the Ironclad Regiment, and here they are going to play the part of the Astarian forces. Thankfully, and we villagers will play the role we were fit to play, which is as the Knights of Solemnia.
I see. Sort of a performance then.
Yeah, it's fun. It's great fun. It helps people remember why this we might be a small village, but why it's important. And yeah, it's a great way to end the day. The kids get to stretch their legs a bit and run around. Some people get a little too drunk, but it's all in good fun. No one gets hurt.
Well, Quinton, I might not be as old as the Cataclysm, but, it sounds to me that might be something worth sticking around for.
Well, in hearing about exploding lizard people and other such things, I think a little levity might be in order, especially as we pay our respects to Ispen.
You're probably like, Yalme is probably like, has started to walk away when you say exploding lizardmen. And you see her turn around and stare at you. And then she continues her walk, but she's like been polishing the same mug for like 10 minutes while she pretends not to listen to you.
He's gonna go up behind her and tap her on the shoulder. Excuse me.
Oh.
You had a strange reaction when I said that outlandish thing I said just a moment ago about...
Well, I've neither seen a lizard man nor known one that exploded.
You seem a lot more concerned than I when I heard that thing. I sort of didn't believe it. There's sort of a man just out there who told me about it.
I thought you had seen one. Okay, so I think I agree with you in not believing that it happened. I assumed you all knew each other.
No, I don't care to know him.
No. My apologies for serving you all beer at the same time. Okay. Well, I can assure you, you're not staying in the same room. And if there's anything I can do to help you,
avoid social situations like that in the future, that would be a-okay with me.
Okay. I will figure out how to do that. But yes. And she's like, but I need to remind you, watch out for exploding lizard people. And she gives you a wink before she...
That's right.
Turns.
And you don't have to compulsively clean that anymore. It's plenty clean.
You never can tell when there's explosive lizard men guts all over something.
Haha. Yes.
What sort of disease is that? I hope.
He said something about petrification. I don't know if disease was a part of it. I don't know. It was crazy.
Well, I don't want lizards anywhere on my mugs. Or in the rooms or anywhere.
That's a fair policy.
Just in the background, you could see maybe in the outside the door, you just see him going. It was boom, just huge. Like the way he's explaining it to Kato, it's just
follows you everywhere.
Nice.
Everywhere.
Got a whole shadow puppet routine about it now.
To sort of sunset this scene, it is about, I'd say, slightly after midday. Your rooms are prepared upstairs, so there's places to retire if you want to for now. But there's also the city to explore, and I'm just curious if there's anything in particular the group of you, individually or together, would like to accomplish.
Well, I think Miranda would feel a little compelled to seek out Brallin and try to, talk a little bit about his potential father and
Okay.
offer encouraging words, that kind of thing.
Yeah, Quinton's just waiting for an opportunity to go and introduce himself to Kato.
Okay.
Kato, in the meantime, has kind of had like himself at the table, just like hands crossed, like over his mouth, like thinking, looking at the items that was just given to him, of how a terrible event has just occurred, and now it's up to him to solve it. And he's just like looking at it, tapping his feet, thinking of what to do. And then he has an epiphany. He'll pretty much put the stuff nicely folded together, take it outside, and start leaving. And he's going to try to, in short, find if there's some sort of constabulary, any garrison of knights who might be here, if there's anything.
Yeah, and I think, sorry if I didn't really highlight this. There are knights here. There's not like an office of knights. The mayor is a knight of Solemnia, and there's a number of others in the town.
He probably would be playing the chain of command of find the first town guard, 5-star guard, or knight he sees, and then says, I have some news. Could I speak to your officer? And after the
Sure.
officer, he'll regale that and then slowly try to work his way up.
So let me just, and I think anyone who is from the area would roughly know some of this, but and maybe you don't know it right at this moment, but you sort of quickly learn as you spend more and more time in Vogler. So the town is protected by a militia that is headed by the mayor, Mayor Raven. She's the one who wrote the note to you, who invited you to the funeral. Ostensibly, it's also owned as the area that you're in, and the capital of Hinterlong is Malgoth. There is the militia themselves are not knights; they're just sort of normal town folks. But there is at least a few of them throughout the city. So I say a lot of this just to ask: are you trying to get the stuff back to the knights, or are you trying to get it to law?
Knights, mainly,
Okay.
because based on what they're saying, it wasn't super far from here.
Mhm.
So maybe they knew them.
Okay. I'll get back to that in a minute. I just want to hear what other people. Quinton, are you sort of? Since he would have just walked past you, are you?
Yeah, he would kind of chase
Following along
after him and say, Sir Knight, did you just take in that outlandish report from that fine young man that is missing a few of his teeth and a few of his brain cells?
Well, it doesn't seem. Well, the exploding part is what kind of confused me a lot, and the scales or whatever he described. But this is indeed uniforms of my comrades and their possessions.
Are you setting out on a quest or an investigation of some kind to disprove and discredit these stories that are likely to cause panic in this quaint little town?
Well, probably not me. I'm merely currently playing the messenger. I am here as a, I am here as a visitor in behalf for a funeral.
Oh,
So
but you are
I'm
a
a little-
knight.
yes, I am.
Let me back up. My name is Quinton. I am just recently here. I am an acquaintance, a friend, maybe, of the dearly departed Ispen. Needless to
Excuse
say,
me,
I have utmost respect for the Knights of Solamnia, and I would be, sorry, I'm so nervous. But I would like to pledge
Hey, take your
to
time.
you my service in any way that I can on this quest to do these things for the town and for the truth.
Being Pritch said, like, the way I would see it is that he's kind of like, I won't say flabbergasted is the right word, but just like taken aback that he has a fan.
Quinton is
in a
like
sense-
kneeling. He takes a kneel. He's like bowing his head.
Kato is my name,
Miranda looks sought.
and he will offer his hand up. You don't need to do that, you know.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is my first time pledging service, so I didn't really know the protocol, what's appropriate.
So, you want to be a knight yourself? If you're trying to ask me if I can knight you, I
Oh, no.
I don't have
I'm
to-
sorry. No. I don't have the skill for all that. I am a mere level 2. I don't know how you rank these things. I'm not exactly. I'm still waiting on taking
Like
the test. Sorcery.
like an apprentice.
Yeah, sort of a sort of apprentice of, well, and he's gonna point to Miranda in the tavern. You see, she's sort of. I learn a lot of the things that I know from her. Don't tell her that.
He'll nod. No problem.
Very self-taught.
Well, I don't want to burst your bubble too much of excitement, but I'm also still somewhat of an apprentice myself. I haven't taken my oath yet.
Oh,
I'm still in training. It's a little tricky. I was probably going to hopefully have my ceremony after I get back. I am here on leave currently for this funeral, but it seems that, well, I'm right back to work because, as you said, some strange man spouting tales of exploding lizard men seem to warrant the cloaks of my fallen comrades.
oh, so you are going to do something? Can I accompany you on that thing? Whatever it is that you are going to do. Are you going to take these to some actual knights that I could pledge myself to?
And hearing that, he's like, yeah, I yes, I can. That's my intention. Because
Oh, good,
perhaps
good.
they might know.
You pretend I'm not here. I will just be a few steps behind, carry on, and tally ho, let's do this.
Sure. Have you been in this town long?
No.
So you
I
know
have
just
not.
as much as I. Have you seen any guards, any knights, anyone else?
Well, frankly, I thought with your clumsiness there at the front door, I thought that you were a guard, so you were kind of the first. I mean, I've seen guards about, I suppose.
No, that's my. I was a little. He'll like play with his amulet a little bit. I was a little distracted.
Oh, what is that? That doesn't seem to be a symbol or an emblem of the Knights of Solamnia?
It is not. Well, I don't know how to describe it. It found me about a few days ago when I was on the road.
Normally, people find objects. Objects don't typically find people.
Well, this was a strange circumstance, to say the least.
Well,
perhaps for another time I can tell you, but I feel before it gets too dark, we should at least find somebody.
Yes, yes, let's do that. We together.
All right. How about the other three of you? What are you guys up to?
I think at least Brallin would kind of mosey on back over to Miranda and say, "So, when you say friends, you mean like cousins, right? You are cousins with Ispen and I. Am I related to you then as well?"
Oh no, dear, not cousins, but very close. The two of us, but not. No, I don't think that I.
Mama loved him very much. She talked how he would come and visit her often.
Oh yes, that sounds like Ispen. What's your mother's name?
It's not. What's your name?
Oh, sorry, my name's Miranda.
Right. Okay. It's not Miranda.
It's not Miranda. Okay,
No.
I get a long lost son out there, but you never know these things, eh?
Oh. I guess that's nice. Yeah. Well, Mama's name is Abigail, but yes, either way. Okay. I understand now. Okay.
You understand now? No, but
Yes.
Abigail. Okay. Well, Ispen. He was a very kind man, and well, it's my understanding that he traveled a lot, so he had women who he saw in some of the towns. But I think that he cared for all of them very much, and I'm sure he cared very deeply for your mother.
This is awkward. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
I'm
No,
sorry.
sweetheart.
I didn't realize.
No, I tell you this with full understanding of who he was, and no, but I think that you would have liked him very much. He was very charming and very brave, and I'm sure your mother has told you he had a shield that he liked to tell people was magical, though we saw no evidence of it. But he was very proud of that. So, questions about him, I can help answer some of them, maybe.
Yeah.
Yalme chimes in that she's like, and there'll be a number of other people, including Cudgel and Mayor Raven, will be at the funeral, who may be able to give you more information. They were with him until the end.
Yes, I feel your father was someone that we all saw only a part of. So I'm sure if you talk to other people around here, maybe you'll get kind of a full picture of him.
I don't remember even. How did he pass? You look over to
Yummy. It just it sort of old age. It wasn't violent.
Okay.
It wasn't. Yeah, it was just his time. The two militia in the back sort of finish up their drinks. They get up and there's other people coming to and fro. For those of you, some of you probably have been who are from the area, have at least been around here, if not in Vogler. And it's very, very much working class. It's hunters, farmers, lumberers, that sort of. So occasionally one or some will come in. This isn't the main place that people go to drink, but it certainly is because it's on the docks. You get fishermen who wander in here just for something quick to drink. Is there anything? Oh, go ahead. please.
I would just say I'd look maybe over to Cass and then maybe back to the bartender. Say, aren't you, with those the gates and the repair there, and are you worried at all? I mean,
Well, there's something to be worried about. So they're led by Cudgel, and Cudgel was best friends with Ispen. They have their camp. They were doing some sort of movement here recently, and it's just about maybe 2 miles up the road. You may have passed it if you came in through the main gate. It's they were supposed to move on, but because of Ispen's death, Cudgel kept the band here.
oh,
And then I guess the mayor and he decided that it would be a good idea to use them during the Battle of High Hill.
okay. And just so I'm clear, when we walked into the gate, you said the gate was like rusted open?
Rusted is not quite, but like maybe dirt, like just mud has caked in.
Okay.
Like
But
it could
they're
be
functioning.
closed.
It is closed. Okay.
But they
Right.
have not been closed in years. Is really
Okay.
what I was trying to say. Yeah.
All right. So he would just go, okay. So you're not worried.
I mean,
There's
what's
some
there to be worried
dangers.
about?
Thing.
I mean, there's crime and things like that, but this is practically the safest place in Ansalon.
Once again, he's gonna just stare for a second at Cass and just be like, well, I mean, there's creatures out there. I was telling the fella over there that night, there's, lizard people out there, and I mean, we dispatched a few of them, but dangerous creatures out there. None that I've ever come in contact with.
Well, between the militia as well as the local town militia, that so the militia, she actually uses their name. Just get their name quick. Ironclad Regiment. That's who was under Cudgel. Between the Ironclad Regiment and then also the local militia here. I mean, they train maybe once a month. It seems like they're pretty good at what they do. But you also have, some Knights of Slumnia. Becklin, for instance, he stays up at the old keep, and he knows what he's doing. It's safe. There, crime might be a problem a little bit here and there, but
Did you, I'm not sure you heard what I said. I'm not talking about crime. He's gonna get like stone cold serious. I'm talking about creatures. Creatures, human creatures that stare into your soul. We saw one of our friends get their entrails eaten right in front of us. And they just kept coming. I was shooting and they just kept coming.
Cass is gonna put a hand on Brallin's shoulder and lean in and say, "We've reported this to the authorities. It probably is for the best if she and others don't believe you. We wouldn't want to cause a panic. We've done what we can."
I have heard the rumors of exploding lizard people. And while I do remain concerned that exploding lizard will just walk into my inn and explode, I have full faith in our mayor to keep this town safe.
As just just for reference, as Cass was comforting Brallin, is going to kind of be pointing at Brallin and shaking her head sadly to try to convey to the bartender that maybe he is not well, trying to sadly undermine his attempts to convince her that this is a real threat.
He refills both of your ales.
Miranda now is going to be serious too about upon hearing this and all of these things, given what she saw in her hometown.
Okay.
And I'm sorry to butt in here a little bit for you, but your defenses at the gate, at the water. How many men would you say we have to guard the town here?
And I just like I appreciate you talking to me about the defenses. You do know that I'm just the innkeeper, right?
Of course, soldiers in and out here, and I'm just. If you just had to guess, if you had to hazard a guess, how many do you think might?
How many
Soldiers? How many militiamen?
Oh, militia. Probably about 50 to 60. And then I'm not sure how big the mercenary. I haven't traveled up there myself to see the camp, but I understand it's fairly large. And then you have, let's see, you have Mayor Raven. She's a knight. You have Becklin, Sir Becklin. He's also a knight. He has that squire, Darrett. Who else? Oh well, I mean, I guess technically, Lord Baccharis. Sorry, just trying to pronounce that. Lord Baccharis. And his son, but his son's not. I mean, it's not anything. It's definitely not a knight. And he's not really a knight, though. He's just from Solemnia. He'd certainly protect, though. So what was that? That was like 60 plus the mercenaries plus 3 versus 1 exploding lizardman? Did you say there was one?
Was there more than one of these lizardmen?
There were 3, 4, right? 4, right, Cash?
Yes, there were 4 lizardmen.
There were, yes. He's like very seriously, like, right.
Yeah.
He's gonna point back like at Cass, like he's got my back, right?
Well, I just. Is there a plan in place should any attack happen? Is there a place where the people should go, or?
So up the street a little bit, there's the village circle, the mayor's homes. Just as you get to the village circle, you'll see the big tree. On the other side of the big tree is the mayor's home. It's pretty big. It definitely looks like a mayor's home. That's where Mayor Raven both resides and also she works out of. In front of it is a bell, and if you see anything, ring the bell.
Loading.
There's a bell,
Yes.
and if we saw
And-
anything, we ring the bell.
Exactly.
He's gonna nod. He'll put down his half-finished beer, and he'll begin to step out and walk out.
So maybe not. I was just trying to run stuff happen. Thank you very much. No, and see if Cass is falling. Maybe the bell shouldn't be rung yet, though. Hold on.
Yeah. He'll kind of slow down if you're telling him something. Well, what do you mean? There's a bell. The man needs to know, I guess. I figured it. I don't know. I don't know how this place works. The system works here. I just figured I'd tell somebody and they'd kind of do the talking for me. I don't know. But I understand the bells, and I know you ring them.
If they're kind of near the door, leaving and far enough away from Yalme, Cass will again try to impress upon Brallin that we've done our part. Ringing the bell will only cause panic and confusion. The young knight, will pass along what we have learned. This city's defenses are not our concern. We are here. I understand you're here for the same reason I am. There's a funeral, and when it is over, we may leave.
Does that dissuade you?
Not our concern. What do you mean? You could.
Well,
he's got a little bit, maybe a little kind of swagger now after that second beer, and he's just like, "What do you mean? Not our concern."
Well, to put it another way, when one does things hastily, there can be dire and fatal consequences.
Yes.
But if one stays alert and listens, one can make more informed decisions. So perhaps instead of acting, waiting is the more is the better option for us, lest we cause, more problems.
I don't want the people to panic. I didn't see what you saw, but I will tell you that I have seen what happens when people panic, and it's not good. So why did we do?
Yeah, I think even at that, like him telling him that, and him kind of relating it back to just what happened a few days ago, I think that might calm him down a bit, as he's like, you know what? I shouldn't act first. Maybe I should. Oh, he's gonna go. He's gonna kind of just like look at Miranda and nod, and then look back at Cass and say, I've only met you not too long ago on the road, but you're a good friend. You're a good friend. Thank you for talking me straight. Thank you all for always having my back. Thank you so much.
Well, if one does not have friends in this world, one leads a poor existence indeed. And again, sort of another, pacifying or somewhat cordial pat on the arm.
Oh, that is so true. He's not going to ring the bell.
Okay. But you did get outside, if I understood correctly.
Yes.
Outside. And so when you get outside, you can sort of see down the street. You see Quinton and you see Kato sort of rounding near the tree that she described. And you see them talking to a fairly tall woman. I believe I have a handout, maybe. She's not currently holding a fish.
Tragic.
That's awesome fish.
But she, to the two of you, she accepts the items gracefully and very solemnly. She actually knew your names, which is probably the more interesting part. And it quickly explains that it's because Ispen had described you fairly significantly enough that she was able to piece together that you were here for his funeral, who amongst the sort of invitees that were coming in from out of town you were. She is a little busy in the sense of you sort of stopped her mid sort of purposeful stride through the town as she was on her way to something. But she does take the time to accept the goods from you. And she stops by saying that at dusk, or shortly before dusk, she's going to come to the inn and collect you all to take you to the funeral. And if she doesn't, someone will, but most likely it will be her. And so she sort of, before walking off, she thanks you for not only bringing her those items, but also, actually taking time to come to the funeral, and explains that Ispen spoke highly of you, and that it means a lot that he would have come, but that you all would have come. So, and she strides off. Is there anything else specific you want to do before dusk? If not, I think right now is a good time to take a quick break for 5 minutes, refresh, and we will be back as we move towards the funeral. And, we will be back in just a few minutes. Thanks, guys. All right. Thanks for sticking with us, guys, or everyone. We appreciate it. So when we left the characters, they were sort of in spending time before the funeral. Is there anything any of your characters wish to accomplish before the funeral begins?
Nothing for me.
No.
Good. So the day sort of draws on, and the sun gets low in the sky. And as promised, right around dusk. What's up? Right around dusk, it is. Wait 1 second. In right before dusk, I apologize. I'm trying to retcon something that I just messed up. Nothing bad, but right before dusk, this woman shows up. Definitely a knight of Solemnia. And she strides in the office, and you would introduce yourself very quickly as Becklin Uthviharan. What I'm trying to retcon is it was Becklin who I believe invited you, not the mayor. And it is Becklin who recognizes you by name, based on things that Ispen had mentioned to you. So I sort of combined the mayor. That's what I was trying to retcon right there. So I apologize. But you would have given this is who you would have given the effects to, not the mayor. So Becklin comes in. She introduces herself to the few of you she had not already met. She thanks you all for coming. She says, would you care to accompany me to the funeral? It's not far. It's just down by the docks. And up in the front will be those who are closest to Ispen, and I encourage you to be right near the water. He'll probably have quite a few townsfolk who weren't as close to him. Shall we?
Let us go.
Go ahead. I heard a. No, all right. You head to the edge of the water, and many of the people are actually out on the dock overlooking the Vingard River. At the far end of the dock, in a wooden boat, there is Ispen's body. His body is wrapped in a shroud. You hear in the distance a musician, not in a distance, but off to the side, I guess, a musician playing a soft song as Becklin steps forward, and she is dressed in sort of the formal, ornate Solemnic armor. She turns around and stares at the crowd, and you see her sort of catch her breath. And with a smile, she begins to speak, and her voice is very clear, and it carries across the water. So those who are not on the dock but on the shoreline easily hear it. She says, "You all knew Ispen as a friend, and there were none like him. Before he died, he did tell me this. There should be tales and not tears for an old scoundrel like me. Make sure everyone knows my stories when I head off on the greatest adventure of them all." She nods to herself and turns around, and villagers who have secured the boat containing his body sort of hand each of the ropes, the fore and the aft rope, to Becklin, and then you also see a dwarf who takes the other rope. And she says, Becklin's voice carries out again, and she says, "So let us do that then." And she pushes the boat out into the current of the Vingard River. She says, "On the eve of the Kingfisher Festival, we celebrate you, Ispen. Good travels, friend, until we meet again." And then the crowd watches as the boat, slowly at first, but then is eventually fully picked up by the current, starts to float down the river far into the distance until it eventually drops out of sight from both the darkness and the distance away. There's a brief moment of silence after that happens, and Becklin turns around and points back to the brass crab. And she says, "I invite you all for a light reception, and also, probably more importantly, an opportunity to share stories about our friend Ispen." And the whole thing probably took, I don't know, maybe like 20, 30 minutes, right? Maybe a little more. But when you get back, the inside of the brass crab actually looks quite different because almost every surface is covered with food. There is, there are plates of food. There's places to fill ale. There's wine. There's water. It's just the innkeeper has really gone out of her way to make this an event. It seems like it is so crowded in there. It really seems like the entire village is at this thing. And while they can't all fit in there, eventually you have like the stuff going on inside, and you'll hear as people start to say something and maybe give a story about Ispen. There's someone standing in the doorway who then turns around and shouts that part of the story to the crowd outside. So it's quite participatory and a little bit, I don't know, it's endearing to you. Like he clearly was a loved figure in this town. And so Miranda, will you roll me a d6? And I'm gonna torture you here.
Oh no.
Sorry, I'm totally not in the wrong thing. 6. So the stories start flying, some serious in the sense of like, oh, Ispen and Cudgel and Becklin just got out of this with the skin of their teeth. Sometimes hilarious. And you definitely get this feeling of it was the three of them. It was Cudgel and Becklin and Ispen who partied together, who adventured together, who sort of lived life together. And eventually, other people in the crowd start telling stories. And it's not quite about Ispen. It's not quite that people volunteer. It's more that people are shouting out like, hey, why don't you tell that story about that time that Ispen did this? Or I heard he once blank. And at some point, Becklin turns to you, Miranda, and she says, Miranda, I would you know this story the best. Tell us the time that Ispen saved that entire shield by using his saved that entire village by using his shield. And the whole crowd sort of turns on you to hear a story that you're about to make up.
Oh, well, wonderful. I need everyone to know that it's currently like 4 a.m. where I am. So, okay. Oh, gracious, that shield. Well, I'm sure it has gotten a bit embellished as the time goes on, but what had happened was this. He had come up, near where we were, and there had been just some strangeness happen. Strangeness more so than usual, and this was before the war came and everything. But we had a few children that gone missing, couldn't find them. The village was all, very worried about the situation. And he actually came to me, and he just, wanted to see if I could help him in any way track these young ones down. And of course I agreed. So we came down, and it was all very odd, and none of it really made sense. At first we thought that maybe there was some sort of hag that we were tracking, but it seemed, I don't know, bigger than that. And so we were at this crossroads, a literal crossroads, as it were, trying to figure out what to do, when all of the sudden, this, still don't know quite how to describe it. I would say boar, but bigger and just angry, came running at us and behind him we heard the thunder of more of these creatures, and it was terrifying. And I jumped behind him, and he held out that shield like he could take on the world with it. And by the gods, he did. This creature stopped right in the path and turned and tore away, and I'd never seen anything like it. He stood there for, well, really quite some time, just chilled out, defending the town. He finally put it down when they were out of reach, and, well, I'm sorry to say, we never did find those dear children, but were it not for him being there, I mean, the entire place would have been overrun. All of the whole town would have perished, I think. I certainly would have perished. So
At the halfway
know if it
point
was
of your
magic.
Story, like Quinton just has his hand up in the air.
Yes, Quinton, yes, dear.
You said the shield wasn't magical, so how do you explain how it repelled that beast?
Well, I mean, he said it was magical, but it wasn't shimmering or doing anything that, would indicate any kind of magical. There was no sense of magic with it. I never felt it, at least. I think it was somehow more with him than the shield. But he believed in the shield, so we let him.
As you finish your response to Quinton, there was a very narrated yawn coming from inside the crowd that sort of draws everyone's eyes. And you see a finely dressed young man. Let's see if I can give you a picture of him. Who's clearly not I don't know. He's not as entranced. That's all. It's just a yawn, a comical.
But I pronounced John.
Yes, that's the word I was looking for. Pronounced. Thank you.
I'll call him out then. I'll say, I'm sorry. Is my story boring you, son?
Well, to be perfectly honest, it wouldn't be boring me if we all hadn't heard this like 1,000 times before.
Well, it was more interesting to me living it, but do you have a more interesting story to share? Maybe one less known?
No, I'm just waiting for an interesting one to pop up. He takes a big swig of ale and sort of looks disinterested again. Someone sort of tries to get rid of the awkwardness by shouting out to another one, and sort of the stories fly again, and keep flying. As the stories keep going, Cass, what are you up to? Is anything particular?
Cass is kind of pressed into a corner of the common room, trying to avoid eye contact with Becklin. I would say Becklin and Cudgel are probably two people that would know the most about Cass outside of Palanthus. So really just kind of trying to keep their distance from those two. Just really feeling out of their element through all of this. But also eyeing up, we have this kind of dandy who's challenging Miranda, and Old Habits Die Hard. Cass is kind of looking at the make of the sword, the quality, kind of seeing coin purses, but using all of their willpower to not rob during this solemn occasion. So kind of feeling very uncomfortable, but using all my energy to look comfortable and at ease.
Right. So I think what you backed yourself into this sort of corner, and as you are trying to sort of keep your eyes on these two people and try to avoid their gaze, you see directly catty corner to you. So the town itself is actually, it's. I don't think I mentioned this earlier. The town itself is. Give me a second. It's mostly human. I don't see it now. Basically, you have not seen many elves in the town. So it's a few Kender, a few dwarves, and mostly human. But across the room from you, like directly across, and not looking at you, you just notice, you see under a hood just striking beauty. And as you your eyes focus more and more, you see a blue-skinned elf who is just quietly listening. Doesn't, if people get close to her, you see her sort of just keep a little bit of distance. Like she sort of just keeps a buffer around her. Not a huge one, but just a little. And she's just attent with, she's keeping the attention of, I'm sorry, she's paying attention to what the tales that are being said.
Any valuables?
You wouldn't from where you are.
Or...
Like, this is literally like all the way. There's so many people between you and her. So you see her face. And I think what caught your attention is just that perfect elven face, right? Like it's nowhere else in this crowd. And it just happened to be like, as like when you're sitting in a crowd and suddenly you can see directly across the room. And it's just a perfect combination of things.
Okay.
She doesn't seem to notice you like in any particular way than any other person. She doesn't notice you're staring at her. Not that you're staring, but you know what I mean.
Yep.
She's just there in the periphery. I think for Kato, you are slapped very hard on the back at some point, so hard that you sort of stumble. You turn around and there is a dwarf coming about half your height. And he says, Kato, Ispen's told me a lot about you. And he extends his hand and he's like, I'm Cudgel.
Pleasure to meet you. I would say my name, but you seem to already know it.
It is a pleasure to meet you as well. I know that Ispen definitely knew of you and definitely spoke highly of what he knew of you. And remind me, you had never actually met Ispen, right?
No, he has not personally met him.
Yeah. Okay. So this is entirely word of mouth now. He says, will you be participating in the battle tomorrow?
The battle? What do you mean?
The Battle of High Hill. We do this reenactment. Let's see. So the Knights of Solemnia fought off the nation of Istar when they tried to invade the plains of Solemnia, well before the Cataclysm. Once a year, we reenact, or the people of this town reenact. Me and my band, we're gonna play the bad guys this time. We're gonna play Istar.
Well, that's fair, considering I'm still dressed up in my knightly garb. I guess what a better opportunity to get a little extra practice in.
It's I mean, it's a lot of fun. It's not we don't even use real weapons.
Well, that's fine.
Just sort of poke around, help people learn what's going on.
Well, that sounds like a fun endeavor.
You should bring these guys too. Those guys you were talking with the rest of the people. Most of the town folks are going to be involved.
I think this sounds like a wonderful idea.
It'll be fun. It's like tomorrow night though, so don't you have all day. So if I see you, I'll get you ready for it. But if not, don't worry. You can wing it just easy.
I'm sure it'll go splendidly. And if he begins to walk off, he'll give him a good old dwarvish goodbye.
Okay. He chuckles a little bit and he goes around and he politely introduces himself to the rest of you. Sort of walks around and he's not sure when he sees Cass if Cass, like he intentionally tries to find Cass, but he can read Cass well enough to be like, maybe he doesn't want me meeting him, and so he sort of just goes up next to you, Cass, and he says, just wanted to say hi. So you're doing your own thing.
It's good to see you again, Cudgel, and you needn't worry. I'm behaving myself. I made myself a promise not to cause trouble in Vogler while here for such a solemn occasion.
Yeah, it's probably a good good lad. I guess lad's not quite the right word. I think what a better expression would be. Yeah, he probably said something like "Stay good," and moves on and starts greeting other people. Sure. While all of this is going on, more and more stories are being told, and I think at some point, there is a story that actually, you know what? I'm just going to do this to one of you. Oops. How does this work? Why can't I do this anymore? Oh, I'm doing it in the Twitch window. That's how tired I am, guys. I am very much apologize. Who is the third person who's not Miranda from my window? Brallin. Please roll me a 1d6. If you get a 6, re-roll.
A 1.
A 1. Okay. So at some point, it's the innkeeper who yells out, "Hey, this is one of Ispen's kids over here," and says, he probably knows the one about that time that Ispen, for 3 days, that Minotaur pirates had been chasing Ispen's ship across the Blood Sea. When finally, no, you finish the story.
Hello. It's gonna be like, oh crap. All the eyes start looking to him. Yeah. So mom did thanks. Mom did tell me about this one about the Minotaur pirates and the Blood Sea. But the way she said it was the other way around. He was chasing them. You see, they had stole his shield. So he figured that
no good Minotaur pirate is gonna take away Daddy's shield. So he decided he's gonna go and give him one what for, right? He took I remember he didn't have a shield at the time, so Mom said that he got a piece of just a piece of metal from the ground, like a scrap, and it was like a sword, but he used the sword like he wrapped it with leather, and then he used that as a shield. And as he went up to the captain, he said, "Hey, excuse me, I believe you have something that is mine." And the captain said, Hold her. And he's like, oh, he didn't speak. He didn't speak Minotaur, apparently. So he didn't understand what was really going on there. Apparently it was just misunderstanding. Yes.
Did your mother really tell you this story?
Yes. Are you calling me a liar?
No, I'm just questioning.
Well, I was getting to
He
the best part.
He never met his father before.
If I'm anywhere near Quinton, I will be like elbowing him in the
If you elbow him, he's gonna redirect his comment to what Baccarus had said earlier. He's like, no, I'm just saying, like, he has probably not heard these stories before.
You're right. This is like literally the worst story.
What?
Like, this is boring.
Is it the guy again?
Yeah.
But wait, have you actually heard this story before, or is it boring because you know there's no way that that's true?
It's a terrible story. You don't even know what he's talking about.
Hey, hold on. Well, it was a mistake. That's the end of the story. He accidentally took it. He asked for it back, and he gave it back. That was it.
Why are you telling this story? The crowd, look. Half of them have walked out.
You know what?
No, the crowd.
It doesn't. It's one thing that you tell me this, but don't insult that lovely lady over there. And he's going to be pointing to Miranda. She did nothing to you. What's wrong with you? And I thought it was a good story. What do you all think?
I thought it was a good story.
Well, thanks. That's it. No, you don't have to go any further than that. No more questions.
Next. You hear him yell out as he downs another glass.
Who are you? Who are you? Huh?
Someone who wants to hear a good story. Apparently, it's not going to happen here.
Yes, you. Go ahead.
Can someone ask him if he's got a better story? Because, like, he's hypercritical.
Do you have a better story?
I don't even care about the guy. I came for the beer. There's a fair bit of...
That's uncouth.
There's not open booing, but there's definitely a lot of side conversations when he says that. Like, everyone seems to know who this guy is of the local. No one seems to be sort of openly confronting him.
Who's this guy? Oh, look. I think your story is a lovely story, and it's well in character with Ispen. So don't you listen to him.
Thanks. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
There.
And he's just gonna give him like one more sneer as he kind of steps down and rejoins the group.
Okay.
At the end of that story, Kato would like to stand up, just with his full gear, drink in hand, and he wants to try as best he can, pretty much put himself right next to him. Not in a threatening manner, just like, is the seat taken?
I don't know, is it? No.
He slightly chuckles. I guess that's a no then. And then he'll pop a squat right there. I don't believe I've had the pleasure of meeting you.
I don't believe you ever will. But I'm
Well,
Bacchus. You should know who I am. Bacchus the Younger.
well, I apologize. I don't really know who you are. I'm new to town. Kato Livius, not the younger.
You smell like you're new to town. That's for sure.
Haven't had a chance to get a bath yet, so it's really unfortunate.
Oh. Ever?
Nah, at least 3 days. It's a long hike.
Perhaps a swim in the river or something will improve that.
I'm sure the river will be fine. Besides, it could be, well, not really the greatest breeze outside when it's, more of a fishing village.
It is a village.
That's right.
You're
That's what I
right.
just said.
You are very astute.
Thank you. So you say you're the younger. Is there an older?
A durr, yeah.
Boy.
And as
Do you
that
have any other
conversation
stupid
continues,
questions?
nice sword you have there.
Thank you.
I wanted to hear all about it. Seems like a finer make than everything I own. And he's gonna play to his ego if he can.
Okay. What is your intent in all of this?
To have him shut up, for being honest, have him talk to him. He can take the brunt, so everyone else can tell their stories in peace.
Okay. Make me persuasion.
And
Quick.
DM, while Kato is kind of running interference,
Right.
Cass will casually walk up behind and pretend to tie their shoes, but will actually be tying the lordling's shoelaces together.
Make a slid hand for you, and what is going on with? Okay. So right. I got a reroll. Thank you. Thank you, Paul.
Hey guys,
so,
can I use the reroll on my prank, or is that a DM reroll?
It's a DM reroll.
DM reroll.
Oh, never mind.
Those rerolls are used to kill you and to get rid of another one of you. But you lean down and you lean down and you start to tie it, and he doesn't actually see you, but he thinks like something's at his feet, so he kicks it away. So you just sort of get kicked a little bit. But Kato, you are talking him up as this conversation is going, and he's like, you know what? No one in this place can take a joke. And he sort of pops the collar on his little cloak. He turns around and he leaves completely. Sure. Got through everything. Cudgel. As the reception winds down, and unless anyone specifically has a story they would like to tell about, like there's definitely the opportunity as it's wind down for people to jump in with stories about Ispen. No? Fine.
No, I actually think Cass would maybe try to shadow Bacchus the Younger, at least a few seconds later, just to see the direction the lordling goes and to get some air. It's getting kind of stuffy and crowded.
So I'll
won't really
piece-
won't really follow them, but
right. I'll piece together a couple things that you would have picked up across the night. The first is that he lives in that fancy house that you saw earlier, and second is that that's where he seems to be headed. So across the night, you sort of pick up that this is that the fancy house that is on the edge of that is labeled on the map, the West Side House. That's where he's from, and with nothing better to do since Kato sort of made him feel stupid for making fun of people, he has moved on and went home. The rest of the reception starts to wind down, and people, it is, especially after he leaves, it is a positive. Like, it just, if it wasn't a funeral, you would label it as fun. Like, there's lots of laughs. There's lots of, like, the level of storytelling is good. For those of you who didn't know much about Ispen, you learn a lot more about him, and it just comes off. I mean, a guy. No, absolutely. The Becklin does come up to you, and you're staying before you go upstairs. And she does say that, hey, in the morning, Ispen's left you something. And I maybe in the morning you can meet me up at the keep. And we can deal with the arrangements. Is that okay? Do you have something to do in the morning?
No.
Well, I will see you in the morning then. Have a safe sleep. And she goes to talk to other guests. She's still there. Cudgel's still there. But it is, less than 10 people, probably about the same amount of people that were in there when you first walked in this earlier in the day. So
at
I
what
think just
point did I was gonna say, at what point did the blue-skinned elf leave? Because Cass was gonna kind of hang out in the shadows outside the inn and just kind of watch as people leave, and that was a interesting enough person that Cass was interested in seeing where they went.
Interestingly enough, you didn't see them depart. Her depart.
All right.
So, and so unless someone has something they'd like to do later in the evening, I'm going to put myself and Miranda out of our miseries of late nights or early mornings, and I think we'll call it there because I think it gives a good lead into next week. We will be back next week, next Wednesday. I think I'll be playing from a laptop, but it'll be fine. Everything's fine. And so thank you guys, everyone, for joining us tonight. If you haven't gotten a chance, please join our Discord channel. We have a quite active community of people playing TTRPGs, but also things like console games, PC games, very interested in the art community. All the art you see here on is done by Cliff, who is one of our members of the community. And so really, really active community, all sorts. And so the Discord channel is a great place to get to know us. Quite a few people will probably be in the General 2 channel. We call it Gen 2 after this to chat it up. Maybe it's down here. Hold on. Let me see. tomorrow night we have Original Adventures Reincarnated the Dark Tower with Casey. And Rooting Out Evil is... Who's running Rooting Out?
Community game on Friday.
Okay. So we have something Thursday night, we have something Friday night, and so please join us for those as well. And we thank you guys for your support of the channel, and we will see you here, and I promise I will have far more energy next week than I do right now. So thank you guys, and see you guys soon.
You have a good night, everyone. We'll go and pass the raid over to Distal's place. Come join the raid and say hello to a fellow streamer. Thanks, everyone.